I'm going to introduce Ned. So Ned has so much experience in the outdoors, specifically with snow travel in the Sierra and safety in the Sierra. So he has been a wilderness skills instructor. He has worked for the United States Forest Service as a wilderness ranger. He's been a paramedic and a wilderness EMT and so much more. He is the founder of Mountain Education, which focuses on safety in the outdoors. And he is also a thru-hiker. He's hiked the PCT, he's hiked the JMT many times, and the CDT. So with that, Ned, the floor is yours.
Since this meeting is sort of an extension of last night, I wanted to touch on something that I mentioned at the end that I want you to rattle around in your brains a little bit. When you are planning and when you are asking questions, and it's wonderful that you do, and it's wonderful that you're here, always consider your sources. I obviously I'm on the class of pages and all that sort of stuff because I make myself available to answer and help. But I look at some of the answers and you know, you almost always to a question, you get an answer from a guy that goes like, you know, what's the big deal? You know, guys, you know, it was easy. It was a piece of cake. I did it in tennis shoes and shorts the whole way. It was, you know, well, why are you guys all stressing? But that was a singular exposure that he had. What you guys need to do as much as you possibly can is to query sources that have lived in the mountains, have felt all of their seasons, have known what it's like to hike in after a drought winter, after a normal winter, after a heavy winter. You know, I like to make the analogy that if you know you're going into the boxing ring, if you're going up against a challenge and you want to know what your opponent is like, your opponent in this case is like weather or snow or creek crossings, and we're going to talk a ton about that today. But if you want to know what your opponent can throw at you, what they've got up their sleeve, what their tricks are, what they're like a poker hand, what their show is, you don't talk to the guy that has been up in front of them for a few seconds or maybe a round or something like that. You want to talk to the guy that spars with him every day, the guy that knows the opponent in and out, has lived with the opponent. And that person can tell you just tons about his show, what he can throw at you, what it's going to look like before it comes, that kind of stuff. Those are the people you've got to find. They are all over the community. You know, I remember doing not blind phone calls, you know, cold calls to people who lived in Tahoe. I was 17 years old living in the Bay Area when I was planning my hike. And I needed to talk to people who lived up there. So I made phone calls to ski areas. I wanted to know what it was like from season to season. So do that kind of stuff. Find some voice out there on the internet or some book written or whatever from somebody who has been out there a long time and consistently and can compare one season to another and one technique to another and one piece of gear to another over time. Those people are invaluable. Those who have done this trail a long time ago and have stayed in it. Like I can think of a lot of names, not a lot because there weren't many, but I can think of a few names from the 70s, early 70s, who hiked the trail, and occasionally they pop up and say something to a new hiker's question. But you know, for the most part, most hikers after their hikes, they try and reintegrate into society, and they find either a way to do it, which is kind of rough. We call it reentry, and reentry is not easy because you change on the trail. So a lot of these people they move on to a degree, and so you don't find the old voices in the forums like I'd like to see. I'd like to see more of that because they shed a lot of info from over years and years and years of seeing, you know, different conditions out there. And you guys don't know the conditions you're walking into. So the more light you can shine on it, the more info you can pull in on it, you know, what the creeks are going to look like, how to test the snow bridges, how to find a good crossing space, what that looks like, the better. So I just wanted to hit on that. I want to throw this open, Carol, so that we can just dive into all the questions and all the related answers. This is a time for you guys to ask questions regarding how do I deal with these things that came up last night? How do I deal with obviously snow and creek crossings and heat and bugs and mud? And what happens if I'm running late up in the North Cascades and I feel like the snow's coming in? What do I do? What are my options? That's all safety related. What happens if I push the SOS button on my inReach? What can I expect? I've done it a lot. I was in search and rescue up in Tahoe with 2 different sheriff's departments for 5 years, and I can talk from the other side. You know what it's like to come upon a person who's desperate in the wilderness and needs help, and how to integrate with the search and rescue team then from the hiker's point of view, so that you can help them help you. For so many years in May and June, above 10,000 feet teaching, you can't say when anything's going to happen. The mountains do what they're going to do, but there does seem to be a trend that if there's a drought winter, the thaw starts earlier. It doesn't have to. It doesn't always. You can't say, wilderness, you're going to do this now. It doesn't work that way, but it does seem to be correlated, like you said, that if there's a drought winter, the thaw starts early. But a normal winter and a heavy winter, the thaw starts about the end of May.